Hello everybody, and welcome back to more of a Wildstar video. We're going to be talking about PvP today. I've been doing a lot of PvP, and I really actually do enjoy it in Wildstar. And I know I've talked about this before, but I hate PvP in other games, but in Wildstar, for whatever reason, I find it really fun. And it's been one of those things that I've been going to when I have nothing else to do, like when I'm waiting for guildies to come back from, going out to dinner or something so we can run dungeons. I jump into a BG and have a lot of fun. But recently, if you've been following me on Twitter, I've been ranting a bit about some of the issues it has. Now, in this video, I'm not going to complain about the issues because there's enough people doing that already, and Carbine knows about the problems that there are and are working on solutions for it, so I'm not going to sit here and give them feedback either. All this video is just documenting the issues of what's currently going on, so maybe in the future, a couple of years down the road, we could be like, what was PvP like at launch? I don't remember. We could look back at this and be like, oh, that's right, those are the issues that were going on. Also, this will help people currently in the state of the game understand why they're either winning a lot or why they're losing a lot, and it's actually pretty important to understand the two. But despite all of the issues going on, I still enjoy Wildstar PvP. I just wish that the BGs were in a better state at the moment. So let's talk about the first issue, which is that of matchmaking. So currently, I've noticed that the game queues, and other people have noticed, obviously, that the game queues solo queuers. Like if I queued solo like this, I'm not queuing with any friends, it queues me against a pre-made team. And that's obviously a huge problem. If you're queuing against a pre-made team, you're just going to get completely trounced, unless for whatever reason your team is really, really good. But that's not going to happen, So if you're queuing against a pre-made team, you're going to get owned, and it sucks. And the worst part is that the Exiles like to do a lot of pre-mades. They're a lot better at PvP than the Dominion, at least from what I've been able to gather from the last few days of playing. And that's not uncommon in games, Like in Star Wars, the Republic tends to do a lot better than the Empire in PvP. So I'm not upset about that, but the thing I am upset about is that you're queuing against a pre-made team. That shouldn't happen. It will also queue solo people into a pre-made team. So say they only were missing one person and you soloed queue, it would fill that spot. And that makes a lot of sense, right? But the problem is when that pre-made team and that one person that's not a pre-made goes up against an entire team of not pre-made people, they're just gonna raffle stomp. And that's no fun for anybody. It's not fun for the people who are solo queuing because they're just going to get destroyed all day. And it's not fun for the people who are raffle stomping because there's no challenge there, right? They may be getting a lot of PvP gear, but that fun is going to burn out very quickly and they're going to want a challenge. So that's not good. And this isn't really an issue for arena or war plots because in those you're mostly queuing as a team. So this is only a BG issue at the moment. It's primarily a BG issue at the moment, I should say, because in most situations when you're queuing for an arena or a war plot, you're going to be with a massive team anyways. So what could they do to fix this? Well, they need to make it so that the solo queue people only queue against solo queue. What do I consider solo queue? Well, like 3 people or less. If you have 3 people in your group and you're queuing, I consider that a solo queue. Sure, you're not queuing with a full pre-made group. 3 people is fine. You may be able to get some stuff done and help coordinate a team, but you're not going to make or break a BG, in my opinion, unless you're super good, in which case you're probably going to do that anyways with 2 people, so it doesn't really matter, right? But like I said earlier, I prefer games that are close fought and they take skill and able to go down, and it comes down to like the last bit of the BG where it's so close at the end. Like I like those because they're just a lot more fun. It gives you a challenge and it keeps things interesting. But it sucks when like the footage you're seeing in the background is just me getting owned over and over again in these BGs because I'm queuing against a lot of pre-made people. And our guys completely suck. There's no communication going on whatsoever. And as you'll notice, I'm in PvP gear, and we'll talk about that in a second. But first, we need to deal with the issue of botting and AFKing at the moment. Since the game launched, people will join a BG and AFK, and then at the end, they'll get the experience for it. So obviously, that's a huge problem, but they're working on it, and the botting is a huge problem too, where it will set up the character to auto attack so it doesn't show it as AFK. But you could clearly tell when someone's botting. It's kind of awkward because the character doesn't really know how to respond to some telegraphs and stuff, and they look like they just suck. But for the most part, it's usually a bot. But with that being said, I'm not too worried about the botting and AFKing issue because this is something that's already gotten better and is going to continue to get better as Carbine figures out what these people are doing and is able to counteract it. So not too concerned about it, but if you've seen that, it's, you know, it is a problem in some BGs at the moment. Not all, but some. And then you have the PvP gear issue, right? So my character's pretty much in full PvP gear. I'm missing a few pieces, but pretty much full PvP gear. And it doesn't make a huge difference. Actually, it makes very little difference. And in a lot of situations, it's better to wear PvE gear than PvP gear. And it's just the way the stat works. They need to fix it. They understand what's going on there, and they're working on a solution from what I can tell. But this isn't a quick fix. This is going to take a while because this is like hard balancing that they have to do. But a good example of this is like a healer. If you go into a BG as a healer and you're wearing full PvE gear, the chances are you're going to be more effective, like exponentially more effective in PvE gear than you are in PvP gear. It's just the way that the stats work, you know, because the PvP gear doesn't have natural stats on it as much as the PvE gear does, you know, because the PvP gear has the stat allocation for the PvP stat, which that is why it needs to be balanced, is because that stat in general isn't too good for everybody. If you're like a huge DPS guy and you're getting in like a warrior is a good example of this, then it can be good, but it's not always good. I'm almost certain, and this is what other people are saying, you know, on the forums and on the Reddit and stuff. And it's a huge discussion going on about this gear, by the way. So I'm barely touching the surface of it, but from what I understand is that if I was in full raid gear and I came in here, I would destroy people, especially people who weren't in PvP gear at all, which, you know, that's to be expected. But even the people who were in PvP gear, I would destroy, and I would take a little extra damage than usual, but it wouldn't be that much of a problem if I had, you know, a PvE geared healer behind me as well. So that really needs to be fixed, the PvP gear issue. It's unfortunate that we're even talking about that, but honestly, I blame the people in beta for this issue because they should have figured this out long ago and started complaining about it. Maybe some people did, but obviously people weren't vocal enough about it. So this problem's, I'm not expecting a solution right away for it. It's going to take a while, but at the end of the day, when they finally get the PvP gear settled and it works, I think it'll be really good and fun. And the very last issue that I'm not even going to mention, really, is just class balance. You know, some classes are a little bit more overpowered at the moment, but that's to be expected in PvP because it's a constant changing game. You know, PvP is. And the reason I'm not really going to even talk about who's overpowered or not is because this is going to change in like a week anyways. You know, one minor change could completely change the balance of PvP. So to me, it's not that big of an issue. Even though, yeah, it probably should be balanced as we go, right? But overall, you know, with those issues in mind, I'm still enjoying PvP, the fundamentals of PvP. I don't enjoy BGs as much because of the issues, which is to be said that you probably should do arenas and war plots. And I can't wait to do war plots. I'm just waiting for the other people in the guild to, you know, get ready with that, get settled in that. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But for the most part, I think if you want to have fun in PvP at the moment, I would do arenas and war plots, or open world PvP if you're on a PvP server like I am. But for the most part, arenas are really where it's at, because you're going to be joining as a group anyways. You have a organized team, and you can actually get your rank up easier and get better gear from that. So that's probably a better route for people to take who are really into PvP. And, you know, at the moment, if these are the only issues going on, there are some crashes and stuff that have been happening, or disconnects, but those are supposed to be fixed in this upcoming patch, so I'm not really going to talk about those. But overall, if those are the only problems, it's going to be fixed real soon, and I think people will start enjoying BGs once again in a couple weeks, you know? And this is just an objective view at the thing. Like, I'm obviously affected by all this too, so it's not like I'm sitting here defending the game. I'm just saying it's going to be fixed, and I can't wait to get into BGs, because I do enjoy them. It's the fundamental gameplay that I enjoy, and less of the issues going on. And, you know, if in this situation you enjoy BGs as well, and you hate the fact that all these issues are going on, it does suck if you're one of those people who don't like Arena or aren't interested in war plots, because, you know, this is really your only outlet aside from open world PvP. So I understand and I sympathize, but, you know, what can you do? You can't speed up the process anymore unless you give super good constructive feedback, and the chances of people doing that are fairly unlikely because we're grumpy nerds most of the time. But this has just been an objective look of what's going on, what's happening, and this should allow people to, you know, in the future look back and be like, oh yeah, those are the problems happening back then. And they probably won't complain about the issues in the future as much, because they probably won't be as bad as this, or we can hope that they won't be as bad as this. But with that being said, I'm going to go back to PvPing, because it's a lot of fun still, regardless of the issues. And we shall see you guys next time.